There we go. Good morning, everyone. I am Matt Fruman, Ward 3 Council Member and Chair of the Committee on Human Services. Today is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. We are meeting in person in room 500 of the John A. Wilson Building and virtually via Zoom. The time is now 10:35 a.m., and I'm calling to order this additional meeting of the committee. Today, we have a quorum comprised of Wendell Felder, Ward 7 Council Member, at-large Council Member Christina Henderson, Ward 5 Council Member Zachary Parker, and at-large Council Member Robert White. Today's agenda is limited to the committee's report and recommendations on fiscal year 2026 budget. The agenda is limited, but I have about 15 pages to read, just as a warning to attendees. The committee oversees the agencies that provide some of the district's most essential government services. The Department of Human Services, also known as DHS, administers the district's homeless services system and maintains the district's public benefits programs. The District of Columbia Public Library, or DCPL, operates accessible, beautiful branches in every ward, facilitating lifelong learning. The Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, or OCFME, meanwhile sustains the district's thriving creative economy. When the council received the mayor's proposed budget only 4 weeks ago, we were given a Herculean task. The committee alone had to contend with $63 million in reductions from FY25, and we had less than a month to restore as many of our agency's important programs as we could. The spirit of collaboration I've seen from my colleagues since we received the budget represents the council at its best. Rather than holding up in our siloed committees, we came together to address shared priorities. We focused on the big challenges with which the proposed budget confronted district residents, and what we achieved at the committee level, we achieved together, as will be clear from what I described going forward. The committee budget we are voting on today represents our best work because it came from us all working together in the best way possible. This year, doing our best work meant having a discipline to prioritize restoring existing programs over pursuing new opportunities. It meant shoring up rather than expanding our agencies, and it meant confronting cost pressures head-on to put the district on a sustainable fiscal path. With the support of colleagues within and outside of this committee, we have crafted a budget report that invests deeply in our most effective, most important programs. In drafting our recommendations, the committee was guided by 3 principles. First, human services programs must set district residents on sustainable pathways to meaningful work and financial independence. With the federal government considering policy changes that would impose work requirements for Medicaid and strengthen work requirements for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, district agencies must collaborate to help families thrive without ongoing government assistance. Second, changes to programs serving the district's most vulnerable residents should be pursued thoughtfully, informed by the best data and academic research, and emerge from intentional conversations with the residents we serve. Finally, accessible, beautiful libraries open to all residents outside of traditional working hours are an irreplaceable public good. There are no other publicly supported spaces open year-round that are open to all, let alone public spaces that facilitate lifelong learning and career training. A thriving neighborhood library system is a must-have, not a nice-to-have. That is why our investments in district residents started with libraries. The mayor's proposed budget, unfortunately, reduced operating hours by 1/3 from 61 to 40 hours a week. It also reduced the ability of DCPL to buy new books, cutting an already underfunded circulation budget by another $1 million. This committee is committed to sustaining library hours and was able to find $6.5 million for staffing that DCPL needs to keep branches open to district families. The library has been understaffed for so long that just keeping libraries open at their current hours required this significant investment. With the support of Councilmember Henderson and her Committee on Health, we were also able to find $1.5 million to invest in circulation, raising the budget for library books and ebooks by $500,000 above FY25 levels. Councilmember Henderson, I'm so glad to have you on this committee because I know how deeply you care about libraries and what a champion you've been for them. Thank you for making that investment happen. Additionally, the committee was able to reverse reductions to the library's general improvements fund, investing an additional $2 million with the support from transfers from the Committee on Facilities. All told, we invested $11 million in libraries not to provide major enhancements, but just to play catch up to ensure that our libraries remain open to people who need them. Every day, DCPL provides an amazing service to district residents with so little funding at its disposal. I look forward to what they can do with a budget that reflects the district needs. Our investment in district residents continued with restoring temporary assistance for needy families, or TANF. The mayor's budget cut cash assistance to poor families by $7.5 million in FY26 alone. The Budget Support Act also made significant changes to TANF time limits, sanctions policies, and cost of living adjustments without those changes going through the full legislative process that a standalone bill would. That is not the way to make important decisions about our vulnerable residents. I understand the cost pressures the local TANF program imposes on the Department of Human Services, or DHS, but I oppose making changes without the best information and the most public engagement possible. The committee was able to roll back changes to TANF in FY26 at a cost of $7.5 million. That pause allows the council, DHS, and residents to come together and engage more thoughtfully on the future of TANF. Many residents and DHS itself worked hard to create the TANF policy framework we have today. We should be careful not to undo that framework without equal deliberation. Being able to approach potential changes with that level of care came at a cost, and we were only able to restore TANF because of contributions of two members who, although they do not sit on this committee, invested their very limited dollars in supporting these restorations. I would like to thank Council members Brianna Doe and Janice Lewis-George for transferring to this committee the resources it needed to preserve TANF for district families in FY26. Unfortunately, when the district awards families TANF, it also takes child support on which families depend to meet basic needs to pay itself back. Currently, the district only passes $150 a month of child support through to TANF families and keeps the rest. Federal law, however, lets the district pass through $200 per child per month. The committee was pleased to move a BSA title and send $150,000 to the Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety for the Office of Attorney General so the district can pass through the full $200 a month per child to families. This small investment will have a big impact, sending an additional $600,000 in support to approximately 500 families over the next 4 years. Another small investment that the committee anticipates will go a long way is its restoration of $500,000 in funding for services for survivors of domestic violence. By reversing the mayor's cut to these programs, the committee was able to restore the only housing counselor position at the district's only crisis shelter, as well as a variety of other necessary trauma-informed services. The committee invested deeply in the youth homelessness system as well. With the assistance of Councilmember Parker and his Committee on Youth Affairs, we were not only able to restore $930,000 cut to extended transitional housing, but also add $600,000 over FY25 funding levels. Councilmember Parker, I also want to thank you for being a champion for vulnerable youth. Your generosity this budget season is going to help us keep kids off the waiting list and get them housed, supported, and on their way to independence. Additionally, with the support of both Councilmember Parker and Councilmember Robert White and his Committee on Housing, the committee was able to reverse $600,000 in reductions to youth workforce development grants. In a time when pathways to work are more important than ever, we cannot wait to give youth the tools they need to succeed professionally. Thank you to Council Members White and Parker. Thanks to Council Members White and Parker, we don't have to. The committee was pleased to move a BSA subtitle that will make these youth homelessness grants go further and keep providers operating in the district. Right now, DHS takes several months to get providers their grant agreements and allow them to start billing. That means nonprofits must work for 4 to 6 months every year without getting paid. That's unacceptable. And so we moved and funded a subtitle that will require grant agreements and grant payments to be provided within defined timelines. The committee also addressed the district's truancy crisis by protecting DHS's truancy reduction pilot program. While the mayor proposed increasing the pilot staff from 19 FTEs to 49 FTEs, we need to make sure this new program is delivering for students. The program currently operates out of 5 schools with 9 staff and previously operated out of 5 schools with 7 staff. The initial results are heartening, so we tried to allow the program to grow at a reasonable pace. That means increasing the staffing for the program, which with the help of Councilmember Parker, we were able to add 5 over the allocated 19 already to get us up to 24 FTEs for this program. Next year, the pilot will be able to expand to 10 schools, including its first middle school, and I look forward to seeing what results that expansion brings. In effect, we're close to tripling the number of staff for the program and doubling the number of schools that it will cover in the coming year. In a year of preservation and shoring up, rather than expanding our agency, the committee was able to protect key investments in the district's creative economy at ACVME. The committee made a priority to ensure no cuts would be made to the Film Rebate Fund and the Go-Go Support Program, 2 funds that preserve and enrich the district's cultural heritage. We're proud to be able to maintain the mayor's proposed budget for these programs. Additionally, in an effort to protect future funding for both the Office of Creative Affairs, which provides supplies, courses, and residencies for local artists, and the Go-Go Support Program, the committee chose to separate out their budgets into new programmatic line items. These programs were previously combined under the Film Rebate Fund. Budget transparency here will ensure that residents and council understand where district dollars are going and that they are used efficiently. It will also allow the council to protect funding for these programs, ensuring that they never experience unintended cuts because of transparency. One aspect of this is when you look at the charts, you may see something that looks like a cut, but is not in fact a cut. It's just a reallocation in the budget lines. In the coming fiscal year, the mayor proposed the consolidation of the Office on Latino Affairs, MOLA, and the Office on Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs, MOAPIA, into the Executive Office of the Mayor. The committee does not oppose this consolidation and looks forward to seeing the strides these agencies will make in serving their vibrant communities. Due to the ongoing FY25 spending freeze, the committee decided to use funds that would otherwise be inaccessible to these agencies to help in fund important investments for district residents elsewhere in the committee's budget. Some of those budgets came outside of the committee in line with its commitment to supporting proven programs that benefit our most vulnerable residents. The committee sent $350,000 in recurring funds to the Committee on Executive Administration and Labor, SEAL, to support the district's senior villages, which have long helped older adults thrive in their homes. We also sent $250,000 to SEAL to fund the Iona Dementia Navigators Program. Approximately 90,000 district residents are diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease each year. 9,000, not 90,000, excuse me. The Dementia Navigators Program connects families confronting that diagnosis with licensed clinical social workers to help them navigate their new reality and develop holistic supports like dementia-specific care plans. I'm honored that we were able to help this citywide program thrive. Building on the committee's investment in housing supports for youth and survivors of domestic violence, the committee transferred $921,000 over the financial plan to the Committee on Business and Economic Development, or CBED, to fund a tax abatement for an affordable housing provider that will allow it to continue operating in Ward 3 so others might eat. Some was eager to create an opportunity for more affordable housing in the ward, but a small paperwork error cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax liability that they never should have incurred. I'm proud to be able to partner with CBED to make some progress toward making some whole. Consistent with the committee's emphasis on economic opportunity, we invested more than $500,000 per year over the financial plan in the district's main streets. Main streets help bring opportunity to every corner of the district, supporting equitable and inclusive growth. Main streets are critical partners in creating opportunity for our most vulnerable residents in their own neighborhoods. Supporting them is a natural extension of our investment in those same residents within the committee. We also supported economic opportunity through a new Friendship Heights Clean Team, which will employ returning citizens in a rapidly evolving commercial corridor. I look forward to seeing this new clean team bring a brighter future, not just to Friendship Heights, but to the residents who will benefit from the new jobs it creates. Before I conclude, I would like to thank Councilmember Henderson for something she did in her committee that will deeply affect our committee. In the Committee on Health's report, it expanded the mission of the Healthcare Ombudsman to include supporting residents trying to access and maintain public benefits. Our offices have been working together to make this initiative happen for months, and to see that hard work come to fruition is quite rewarding. I look forward to ensuring that this expansion is successful and to seeing it benefit the residents who rely on DHS services. Like the committee's funding for increasing the child support pass-through, this is a small but tailored investment that will have a big impact in a challenging budget year. Colleagues, I want to end by saying thank you. I've only had this committee for a few months, but thanks to your engagement and commitment, I've learned more in those few months than I ever imagined that I would. And I think together we have achieved quite a lot, and we can all be very proud of what we've been able to do through this process. Before I move the report, is there a discussion? Oh, everybody. I was looking down and starting to say Councilmember White, and then we'll come across.
Thank you, Councilmember Fruman. I want to commend you and your team for all of the work that you all have done in an exceptionally difficult budget year. Tough budget cycles did put real pressure on families, especially those that rely on public benefits and human services to stay afloat. And we owe it to them not to leave them behind, as you said in your remarks, and this budget honors that. It's clear that you, Chairman Fruman, put the people first and focused on restoring cuts that would have just caused deeper hardship down the road. Adding sanctions or rolling back benefits only makes it harder for families to succeed, and we want our families to be able to succeed. Young people need all the help we can give them right now. Truancy in our city is unacceptably high, and while there's no single fix, expanding the truancy pilot is a step in the right direction. So I share the committee's interest in gathering additional data to measure its effectiveness, but appreciate the attention that you've shown on this issue. I'm glad to see the truancy work paired with continued investment in youth workforce. I'm especially excited that we were able to work with you, Councilmember Fruman, and Councilmember Parker to restore funding to the Youth Workforce Development Grant. Even though it's a relatively small program, it changes lives and should live on. I also fully support the committee's decision to protect library hours and restore staffing. Libraries are essential services that provide safety, access to learning, job searches, and internet that many families still rely on today. So finally, we can't ignore that so many of these challenges come back to housing. Emergency programs are stretched thin, and families are struggling to stay stable. It's all tied to the fact that we don't have enough housing, and the housing we do have is financially out of reach for too many residents. So we have a lot of work to do, and this budget helps to move us in the right direction. And I see our work in the Housing Committee as really being a layer in support of the work that this committee does. So this budget doesn't solve all of our issues, but it does point us in the right direction. It protects vulnerable residents, supports young people, and keeps key services in place. So Chairman Fruman, I want to thank again you and your team and look forward to supporting this budget recommendation.
Thank you very much, Chairman White. I look forward to the Housing Committee markup later today. And of course, you're right. So much comes down to housing, and let's work together to get more housing and to make it as affordable as possible. I don't know which hand went up first because I was looking down, so I'm going to just work across. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Chairman Fruman, and congratulations on your first budget markup. This committee was handed a very challenging budget that proposed some significant reductions to key programs that benefit all residents of the district. And you did some great work here. While I have concerns about rising cost pressures within some of our local benefits programs administered by the Department of Human Services, and the broader implications of some proposed changes to federal benefit programs that might be under consideration currently by the Congress, I appreciate and understand the committee's decision to abstain from making substantial policy alterations to the TANF program through the Budget Support Act. I think, as some of our colleagues would say in the Secretary's office and the Budget office, that this deserves a committee report of its own, and it deserves its own record if we are indeed going to make some changes. I was also concerned that the Department of Human Services did not provide a clear policy rationale for the proposed TANF changes at the budget hearing, and had not engaged with the executive regarding some of the content that was included in some of the BSA subtitles. I commend the committee for preserving the TANF COLAs and delaying sanctions to give a year for the council time to comprehensively do its oversight and appropriation work to sustain our programs in the long term. I'd also like to thank you for your work on restoring funding to our neighborhood libraries. Our libraries get a lot of big use, particularly when we have tough economic challenges. Specifically, the committee restored around $8.1 million across the financial plan. So that's for librarians, library associates, library techs. If you folks are looking for jobs, DCPL is a great place to work, and it has air most times. Additionally, the committee included enhancements to library circulation, which allows residents to be able to check out new and old books, both in person and online, in a timely manner. I was proud to send you some funding in order to enhance our library circulation. Millions of travelers visit the district each year. Many seek out our libraries because they're worth visiting and they're worth fighting for. And I'm proud that the committee has taken meaningful steps to protect and invest in these vibrant hubs of literacy and learning. Lastly, I want to acknowledge and thank the council member and his staff for their diligent oversight regarding the misuse of P cards. within the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs and the Mayor's Office on Asian Pacific and Islander Affairs. That was like a little nugget that was stuck in, but strong oversight ensures that resources are being used responsibly and in a way that truly serves our communities. And so hats off to your staff for catching that. I also want to acknowledge your work with my committee on enhancing the capacity for the Health and Public Benefits Ombudsman at the Department of Healthcare Finance. I know someone in the executive mentioned that they felt like this was duplication, and I just want to be clear. The Office of the Healthcare Ombudsman exists currently in the Department of Healthcare Finance. We were simply just adding 2 FTEs and given the office, the ombudsman rather, the authority to do things that they were already doing when they had cases before them that dealt with not only issues in terms of Medicaid or Alliance, but also they flagged some other issues on benefits as well. So congratulations to you and your hardworking staff who have been very collaborative and thoughtful working with my office through this budget process. And I look forward to the further discussions on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Henderson. I sure hope my staff has been thoughtful and cooperative working with your staff in particular. And I do want a couple of things. I mean, I do think on the ombudsman position, that's a really important innovation, and it has an interplay with another thing that you raised, which is things that are happening on the federal level. As an example, our SNAP error rates are way too high, and we could face sanctions from the federal government if we don't get that fixed. Having folks in a consolidated ombudsman office who are helping on those issues can pay very, very large dividends. So I think it is not duplicative. It's a multiplier and can have real dividends for the city. And so thank you for your support for that. On the TANF changes and some of the other things, I do think this budget's been really challenging. We don't know what the June 30th revenue estimate is going to bring, and we also don't know what the reconciliation process is going to bring. And we are going to have to come back in the fall and think about some of these big programs again in a changed context. And that's the way for us to do it. It's not that things can't change at all. It's that things, if they change, need to be changed through a thoughtful process. So I appreciate your support on that. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Chair Fruman. I want to join my colleagues in congratulating you and thanking your team for your hard work on this committee markup. I will say to those watching and those in the chamber, Councilmember Fruman is known on the council as like our data guru or one of our members who loves to live in the weeds, which we need, and that's very important, and that shows in this report. The committee takes some meaningful steps to bring us to what I would argue is a budget more centered on people, and for that, I really appreciate the work that your team has done. Your committee has made meaningful steps with this budget as it relates to TANF, restoring cost of living adjustments and reversing changes to the sanctions policy for 1 year. I will say on the cost of living adjustments, I think that is one change that in the short term may be supported by the data and evidence of what we've seen in past years. While I fully want people on TANF to continue to receive benefits, and I reject the phasing out of benefits as well as the draconian cuts that might come as a result of work requirements and other things. The cost of living increase is tied to rates of inflation, and we know that inflation has been out of whack in the last few years. And so the cost of the TANF program has significantly increased year after year. So if and when we do come back this fall and there may be a need to re-examine some of the numbers, I think that may be somewhere where we can look at, not indefinitely. I wouldn't support indefinitely cutting the cost of living adjustment, but I do think there's a compelling case to say, let's level set over the next few years, just given how significantly the increase has been over the last few years. The committee also makes a full restoration of grants to support extended transitional housing for homeless youth, and you spoke to that. I was proud to support this work via my committee. We cannot give up on assisting our youth in creating better futures for themselves, which leads me to my next point. As a former educator, I'm excited to see our increased investment in the truancy pilot program. I continue to believe that DHS is a better suited agency to deal with our truancy program than CFSA. While CFSA should certainly continue to investigate educational neglect, the fact remains that of the more than 5,000 referrals that have been made to CFSA this year, they have only followed up with roughly 200 of those referrals. There is a clear gap in our truancy policy, and I believe this policy, the pilot rather, is showing early signs of success. And I was proud to support the committee in expanding that to a middle school, and in hopes that we can stand up over time a more robust truancy program at DHS. Lastly, I would just say thank you for fully funding our libraries. I think it goes without saying that a world-class city deserves a world-class library system, and we have one. And it would be a shame if in a $21 billion budget, we wouldn't be able to adequately fund our system. And so I think out of everything you've done here, and you've done a lot, I'm really struck by the ways in which we've kind of safeguarded from some of the proposed reductions and expanded benefits to employees. All in all, I think, again, what we see here is a budget that is more centered on people. It strikes a better balance, I think, than the budget that we received across a number of areas. And I really appreciate your team's work and attention to detail. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Parker. And I appreciate you foreshadowing the conversation in the fall as well, because I do think we live in interesting times. Things are moving, and we're going to have to think about a lot of things and not have sacred cows, but try to be people-centered and come up with the best solutions. So glad to have you as a partner on that. Also, on the truancy, I mean, interestingly, there's an overlap for us between CFSA and DHS doing the truancy, and I look forward to working together on that. This is a system that clearly has not worked, and we're groping to find things that will work. It's so critical. Children fall behind, and can be devastating. So we got to do everything we can to help them get on track, and I know that's in your heart, and I want to be a partner on that. Councilmember Felder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee. First and foremost, I just want to congratulate you and echo the sentiments of my council colleagues. I think you and your team has done a yeoman's job in producing this committee report. Through this committee report, it is unequivocally clear, and it shows that you stand with not only Ward 7 residents, but also our most vulnerable residents in the District of Columbia. I was excited to see the expansion and potential development of new libraries in Ward 7. Libraries in Ward 7, as you know, play a critical role in providing educational programs, workforce development, and community events. With this allocation of funds to strengthen the system by adding more libraries, we are saying yes to ensuring residents have access to tools and opportunities needed to succeed academically, professionally, and most importantly, personally. Additionally, I was also excited to see that the committee also included recommendations within the subtitle related to rapid rehousing case management. This subtitle will ensure rapid rehousing case management expands to individuals who not already receive case management through TANF. I think that it is definitely a step in the right direction. Lastly, I also appreciate the committee's funding enhancements in TANF. I say this all the time. When our middle-class families catch a cold, our most vulnerable residents catch the flu. Through this budget, we can ensure that the health and safety and well-being, the health, safety, and well-being of our most vulnerable residents are met. So with that, again, I want to say congratulations and thank you for getting us to this point.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Felder. we were pleased to support the libraries in Ward 7. I think that's all very important work. I was also, partly this is things we did, but partly also um, uh, Chairperson Bonds that's in Seal, the investment in the villages and the investment that she made in the pilot programs for the villages in Ward 7, I think really important as a way of supporting our families. Also, the investment we made in Main Streets, looking down, I was remembering the night we bumped into each other at Art All Night at Penn Branch. And we know the Main Streets, what a role that they can play and a role that they play in Ward 7. So really grateful to the support of all of you to get this done. I'm going to with that, I move the committee's fiscal year 2026 Local Budget Act recommendations, the committee's fiscal year 2026 Budget Support Act of 2025 recommendations, the committee's budget report, and the ledger of the committee's actions en banc, with leave for staff to make technical conforming and editorial changes. And it may well be that the executive may send us something that they would like included around the MULA issue that could be added in this next period. With all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, please indicate by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion passes unanimously. Before I gavel out, I want to thank the staff who worked on the budget report, Budget Counsel Ann Phelps, what a hero, thank you very much. Budget analyst Kyra Smith, thank you. Like, apologies for all of the many asks and occasional moving targets, but really thank you. Very, very grateful for you sticking with us. Fiscal analyst Jamie Lantinen and Assistant General Counsel Renako Kumala Alsop all worked around the clock to make our committee's investments possible. Thank you to them and to everyone else at the council and in the executive who supported my team through our first budget season. I also want to acknowledge my team, Emily Shaney, Senior Legislative Assistant Emily Shaney, who did a great job on Akvami, MOLA, and Moapia. Senior Advisor Elias Benda, who worked so hard on libraries and public benefits at DHS. And I feel like sometimes people come into our house and they say what a lovely house it is, and I can brag about it because I have nothing to do with it. It's all my wife. And so on this, I actually feel like I can brag about the accomplishment of our committee in this first budget season, because it really, really isn't about me. It is very, very much about our committee director, Dan Passon, who did such a phenomenal job taking a rookie to the finish line today. So thank you very, very much, Dan. Also, our Chief of Staff, Lee Catherine Miles, who's done such a great job in every aspect of the work that we've been doing. So thank you to all of you for all of the work that you have done. The business before the committee is concluded. The time is now 11:14 a.m. and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you to everyone. What? What?